So our next roundtable is going to be about future visions of jewelry retail from industry leaders. And we have 4 industry leaders here. Kyle Roderick, who is a jewelry opinion leader and also writes for Forbes and has Bijoux Review, will be moderating this panel. And we're very happy to have 3 internationally leading jewelry retailers here with us. Valérie Demure from Objet d'Emotion, Paul Schneider from Twist in the US, and Stéphanie Roger from Whitebird in Paris. So thank you very much for moderating this panel. Kyle, and the floor is yours.
All right. Hello, everybody. And we're here to tease out the future of jewelry retail, as impossible as that might sound. So first of all, I just wanted to start off by saying that we've got people on this panel who together have over 100 and what? I mean, years of experience as jewelry retailers, fine jewelry, high luxury jewelry, and one-of-a-kind jewelry, some very precious things. So first, I'm doing the intros alphabetically. So Valérie Demure, okay, based in London, has done jewelry brand consultancy for almost, is it 25 years?
25 years.
25 years with launching brands, doing their strategy, helping them get into retailers all over the world, including into such boutiques as Twist and Whitebird in Paris. So we've got people who not only have vast experience, but have worked with each other successfully for in some cases, for decades. So next we've got Stéphanie Roger, creator of Whitebird Jewellery, Paris, which also has a very dynamic website, and I would say, it's fair to say, a super successful Instagram jewelry, right?
Thank you.
I mean, it's got quite a following, and visually, the merchandising of the jewelry on Whitebird sets a high standard. Finally, we've got Paul Schneider, who, with his wife Lauren Lau, have Twist, which started out in Portland, Oregon, but also has a brick and mortar store in Seattle, and a hugely dynamic website that has over 100 videos of the jewelry designers?
50.
Okay, 50. But you carry around 120
Correct. We have
designers. And Paul and Lauren have managed to leverage e-commerce in such an amazing way. So I very much feel like they have been pioneers in jewelry retail, fine jewelry retail, and high luxury jewelry retail. So we're going to start off by just asking people, describe what it is that you do. So why don't we start with Paul?
Well, that's my wife over there, Lauren. We started out as artists ourselves in the 70s. I was a potter, Lauren was a weaver. We sold at street fairs. That was our life. It was the birth of the counterculture, and that was a very specific direction that we lived. We sold our own work. We sold works of our friends. Our lives were 100% committed to beautiful objects that we made, the history of them, how they were made. It's our world. And what we are doing now as jewelry retailers is basically a very slow progression from that point till now. Like people say, when did you start? It's really hard to specify where Twist started because it started so organically so long ago. We've become jewelry as our main product happened probably in the last 15 years out of I was just thinking about it, it's over 44 years of, we just had our 44th anniversary, so that's how I know when we were married, we were already doing this. So that's as specific as I can get. The jewelry grew as our main product honestly, because as we were selling objects, we realized jewelry was the kind of product that could manifest itself. It's a creative product by an individual, as creative as a painting or a sculpture or a piece of architecture, but it was a product that people actually purchased and actually purchased over and over again in their lives, whereas a piece of ceramic art, a woven piece of fabric, I mean, look at your own homes. How many pieces do you have? Even if you consider yourself a collector, it's not really that much compared to how much jewelry almost anybody in this whole room has. So that's where we are. That's how we got to where we are now.
Okay, and then Valerie?
So as you said earlier, I've been working with retailers for the past 25 years. I've helped launch and grow jewelry brands. I've worked with a lot of young designers, helping them to launch their business. And I think I grew frustrated with a lot of retailers. I mean, not those two, but a lot of retailers, especially like big online retailers, who were not, selecting very interesting pieces or more artistic pieces or more artistic designers. And I grew frustrated with that. Everything turned very commercial with a lot of big retailers. And I decided to open my small gallery to promote those sort of invisible designers and like more artistic jewelry to what I was, seeing around. And I've attended fairs like PAD. There are those fairs where you can find more exclusive, more artistic jewelry, but they're also a little elitist. And I really wanted also to have a one-to-one contact with clients. I wanted to see if those clients interested in more artistic, more forward jewelry were around and what they were looking for, the kind of lifestyle they had. And I enjoy the one-to-one with clients. I do enjoy my time with retailers. I learn a lot from them, but I also want to learn from clients.
Okay, Stephanie.
So I'm Stephanie again. I started in the brands. I've worked with big names like Cartier, Chaumet, or Dinvan in France. And when I decided to do Whitebird, it was just to forget about everything that I had learned until then. So I went to choose this kind of designers that I found in the States, especially at Barney's or Twist. And because we didn't have them in Paris, we simply didn't have them in Paris that was surrounded with big names or just basic jewelry. So we started with 12 designers. Those beautiful names that I had known in at Barney's, like Kathy Waterman or Pieper Small, Lia Di Gregorio from Italy, and now we have over 50 designers. And it's a real pleasure of every day to just find new pieces, curate each designer with this kind of fil rouge, as we say in French, that people like when they come to our stores.
I think it also might be worth your mentioning the fact that you carry some very exclusive watches.
Yeah,
And
actually,
that's kind of unusual. And why is that? And how does that fit into your mix? And because we're talking about the future of jewelry retail, yet you're also retailing watches. So tell us about that.
well, when we started Whitebird, I really wanted to focus on jewelry because I had seen a lot of watches at Cartier, at Chaumet, and I wanted to really focus. And I didn't want to be one of these stores with all these brands of watches next to each other and the jewelry that was really on the side. And last year I said, but actually I do like watches, so why couldn't we, Whitebird, curate one or two brands or three of watches that are designer watches? So we found this brand in Italy called Unimatic, was founded about 10 years ago by 2 designers, and I think it's really interesting. And people actually have quite well accepted that we also carry designer watches.
All right, thanks. So, Paul, what are the various design factors, business factors, marketing factors that compel you and Lauren to invest in a brand, either by purchasing designs or through consignment?
Was that one on the list?
It was indeed. It's question 3.
Okay.
If you don't want to answer it, we
No,
can.
that's okay. I just
we can do
wanted,
another one.
I hadn't really thought about it. It's a very organic process that we go through. Lauren really is the buyer, and it didn't used to be that way. It started, we did it all together, but now she's really taken over buying. But part of, like I said, we carry 120 brands right now, and we have very strong personal relationships with the people whose work we sell, and we feel like we've made a personal commitment to do the best we can for those brands.
But I think it would be good if you could explain to people, how do you develop those relationships? Do you FaceTime with them? Do they come to Portland?
You mean getting new brands or new people in our store?
Yeah.
There's not any. It's a whole life experience that goes to work.
It varies from one to the next.
We definitely are looking constantly, even though it's very hard to bring in new, because like I was going to say, there's no reason for us to bring in a new brand that's just going to compete with the brand we already have. If it's going to be basically that exact same customer that would shift from one brand to the next, that's really not an advantage, unless the brand we've got now is fading away and we need something to take it over. But we really believe that the basis of our success with the brands is our relationships with them. And because we've been on the other side of the case, we know what their problems are, and we're okay with that. I mean, we don't mind dealing with someone that other stores might say, well, that person's really difficult to deal with. It's like, yeah, but the jewelry's amazing. We'll do it. Like, we'd rather get the goods than make it easy, which causes its own problems, for sure.
Okay. Valerie, what compels you to...
I mean, I think I'm quite well known in the more like wholesale world. So, I mean, my business is not as big, obviously, as Whitebird and Twist. I'm like 4 years, 5 years. I really choose what I love. And I'm trying also not to have any line that competes with another line. I'm trying to create, I have a point of view. It's very much about what I love, what I like, what I could wear, or what my daughter could wear as well. I'm trying to also be eclectic, because I am eclectic. And I'm also trying to be, I'm multifaceted as well. So I'm trying to think of the clients. I'm not trying to please everybody, but I'm trying to think of clients who are maybe feeling a bit invisible, like they've been alienated maybe, and they want creativity, and they want beautiful craft, they want beautiful storytelling. So that's what I'm trying to do.
And you do a great job.
Thank you. And Stephanie?
Do you want to go back to the consignment thing?
That's good.
Because
it's
actually both things. When we started, I had decided that I wanted really a purchase type of business, because I really wanted to, first of all, support the designers, because a lot of them and more can't afford to have 100% of their business on consignment. They already have the big chains that are asking them for consignment. So our role is also to support them. And the reason I wanted to purchase each piece of jewelry is I wanted to be able to really curate and buy the ones that I really wanted, and not get the kind of leftovers or not well, leftovers is not really a
No,
nice
but-
term, but
No, we
but
understand what you're getting at,
the
yeah.
collection of the designer
Yes.
is beautiful, is always beautiful, but I wanted to be able to choose each piece, so have them made for us
Well, to have your point of view, really.
and our point of view. But now it's becoming also more and more difficult because as the business is growing and as we have more and more brands, because we have to say that the market, this is what we discussed before, is a little bit saturated with many, many brands that want to enter this our distribution channels. And we are finally just a few. We are not that many able to distribute all these designers. And we have 3 stores, and the reason we have 3 stores is also because we didn't have enough space. And this is also the reason why we have a website.
You're in Paris.
Yeah,
Well, you're also in 3 very different neighborhoods.
that's right too.
I
But
think with different clients or different styles. I feel
Yeah.
in Paris.
even if Paris is a small town, people like to shop in Le Marais or on the left bank or near Place Vendôme, but they don't really go from one place to the other. But we can't, to come back to this consignment thing, it's difficult to add on designers all the time. And I'm also going back to what you said before, is that what's the point having a new designer if it's just for the sake of having a new designer? It's also very important that it doesn't compete with other designer styles. We bring something new for our clienteles, and we continue to be a curator, which is what we want to be. So sometimes we have to say no, unfortunately, and that's tougher and tougher because we have more and more demands.
Right. So earlier, we were talking about the distinct advantages that are afforded by just purchasing jewelry as opposed to taking it on consignment. Do we want to get into that a little bit more specifically, Paul?
Yeah, I think it's a very important topic right now because, again, it's because we started out making, we really understand, but in my personal opinion, the designers are really being taken advantage of by a lot of stores, especially the bigger stores, because they said, if you really want us to carry your work, you'll pay all the money, you'll develop the work, you'll make the work, you'll give it to us, and we'll see if we can sell it or not. And it's even to the point now where stores will go to a designer and make an order, like, I want these pieces, but I'm not going to pay for them unless I sell them. And it's really abusive.
But it's so not business-like.
Well, it's
Because
predatory business.
Yeah, but who in business, can survive that way? I mean, it's wrong.
Yeah, and I have really tried to talk to designers about how important it is for them to try to stand up for themselves. Another
Yes.
way this manifests itself is with markup, where you go to a designer and they say, our markup is 2.5. It's like, so I'm going to pay you $100 and I'm going to sell it for $250, where on Keystone, I'm going to buy it for $100 and sell it for $200. So that $50 goes to me. Why are you promoting this? It makes your prices higher. There's nobody's demanding this. You're telling us that you want us to do a 2.5 markup. It's like,
So how common is that?
really common. Because,
Really?
Yes, because it works really well in the fashion world where it's all based on giving discounts later on.
Okay.
But that's not how our world works. But if you're selling through fashion sources, that's what the buyers want, which in my opinion, it should be optional. Like, mark it up however much you want, but don't limit it to 2.5. If you have
Right.
stores, as long as you're not discounting, start with a double. That's what Keystone means. Start with double
Right.
and go from there, and try to even out the playing field, at least make it equal on your side to the stores that are working with you.
Okay, and Stephanie, how do you feel about the advantages of just buying things outright?
Well,
And do you do a mixture of both, I assume? Some is on consignment and some is bought, or?
yeah, it's really a relationship with the designers, and most of the time we purchase what we want to have.
Yeah.
And then it's a discussion about, okay, well, can we have a few pieces extras that will make the window really beautiful, and we can't afford to buy all
Everything,
of the
yeah.
things we would like to. And so it's if we have a good partnership, and it's most of the time it's 100% the case, because we can't build business with a designer if there is not this respect
Right.
of us to them, of them to us, because we are also here. Most of them don't have stores. I mean, and if they didn't have us, they have, of course, their website. But we are here also to bring the service to the final clients, the after-sale service, or the repairs and everything. So we are the link between them and the final customer. So this relationship that we have with them is so important.
Oh, so you handle repairs as well?
Of course.
Okay,
Of course,
'cause you-
because we are bringing the service.
Good.
So we bring the service until the end.
Because some jewelry retailers have nothing to do with repair.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we do. And I'm sure Paul do too.
Yeah, that's just part of the industry. It's like cars. I mean, there's going to be things
Right.
going wrong.
Okay, so Valérie, as somebody who builds brands and is in the position of trying to place designers so that they have a viable business, how do you feel about, is consignment sort of eating away at the integrity of jewelry retail business?
Absolutely. I mean,
Talk about that.
It's only got worse, to be honest with you.
How has it gotten worse? Explain.
It's only got worse. More and more and more retailers are demanding consignment without any sort of it's due. There's not even a discussion about their marketing plans, what they're going to do in return for the gift, and I think the offer is getting now more limited. You have a lot of retailers who carry extremely wealthy designers, with large finances who can support the consignment. So you're going to see certain brands everywhere, basically, because they can support financially consignment. And then you'll also have the designers who can't support consignment, who end up stopping, or who have to find different ways to do business, or who are taking it more slowly, because also time is money. It's if it takes you years and years to get your work out there, you might end up being discouraged, and that's the extreme situation, I would say. But I think consignment is really an issue. At the same time, I also understand retailers who can't buy every brand, who can't buy everything in a collection.
Yeah, and
who
some
are
retailers,
investing.
they want to
Paul
buy,
and,
but they can't.
Paul and
Yeah.
Lauren and Stéphanie, I really respect, and I collaborate with them a lot because they take risks. They really respect designers. They promote designers very thoughtfully, but they're becoming like extinct.
Dinosaurs.
They're
yes.
that old dinosaurs. I mean, they're like, and there are less and less of them. And I feel that, as you said, Paul, the situation is quite abusive. It's retailers are not. I think there's a saturation. There's a big saturation, and a lot of designers now also are using retailers for marketing. They're like marketing tools for them. The retailers actually do a lot of work, a trunk show, a curation, the nurturing of a relationship with a designer, but also with a client, is a lot of work. And those retailers like Whitebird, they can't be used as marketing tools. They are now very precious as retailers.
All right. Now, moving on, how important are exclusives and rarity to the respective businesses we've got up here? Paul.
I mean, it's the basis of defining who we are. We are not a brand. We are a collection of other people's work. And if we're going to stand out in the marketplace, one of the ways we will do that is by our unique ability to put things together that gives us a voice and a point of view while representing the different people's work. When I have a discussion with a new designer, exclusivity is one of the first things I talk about.
Oh, okay.
Because it could be make it or break it. And I completely respect a designer that says, that it just does not fit our business plan to give you an exclusive. And it could be geographical. When it comes to online, it can be about people that are doing very similar things to us. And I completely understand that. It's very important to me that right up front, that if we do decide to go forward with you, it's not going to be possible if you tell me that you're not going to respect a certain parameters of exclusivity.
So do you write out contracts? And
No.
Okay.
No, they're so expensive and they don't do any good. People will do what they
I
want.
agree.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
like I said, we're an old-fashioned business.
Right.
And since we have no contracts, that can also work out to our advantage.
I see. So I also wanted to follow up with, so what kind of tactics come into play if all of a sudden one of the new designers you're carrying is like being carried by one of your competitors? What do you do then?
You mean if they're already being carried by one of our competitors, or if after we start carrying them?
Well, how about both?
Well, honestly,
Because that's a tricky situation, and I think that probably might happen.
it's really tricky. And sometimes we do a lot of research before we ever talk to somebody new.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay, so that's really then a key factor for people who want to.
Yes,
You do your due diligence.
we do, and if we happen to stumble on somebody, we do it after that, but we really want to dig as deep as we can to know what's really going on. Not just to educate ourselves about who we're dealing with. Sometimes we'll see a brand that is carried by a competitor that we feel really isn't doing justice to the brand at all, and that it has so much more potential, and we'll let them know that that if they have an interest, we'd be interested in talking to them, but their responsibility to who they're dealing with comes first, and they need to really think this through if they're interested in changing or not. If it's a brand we're not dealing with, we have to say, by forming a relationship with us, you are eliminating certain other options you have and how you're going to market. And think it through. And I'll give you a list of competitors that you might want to talk to before you talk to us, because we don't want to have to go back on this.
Got it. Okay, Valérie.
I think exclusivity is becoming quite important because, you have so many designers, so many channels and retailers. And for me, there's a difference because I handle wholesale.
Yeah.
So I'm being very careful with who I'm partnering with, the relationship I have with those people, the trust we share, and what they're doing and how they do it. So, and talking about contracts, I'm very much, Paul, I agree that I've drafted contracts also with designers. I launch them, I start them, and then they go. And they go to another showroom, or they go to another press office, or they do it by themselves. As soon as they become a bit successful, they usually leave, okay? And they go and handle their business.
Doesn't matter what the contract says.
Yeah, the contract doesn't matter at all. So even when they start approaching me and they tell me, I love you forever, I said, sorry, but I don't believe it. So now you're going to pay me for my work. I'm not going to invest in you, okay? I've done that a lot. I've invested in a lot of designers. I've been stung many times, fine. But nowadays, I don't invest in designers. I don't believe the forever love.
So that's how the industry has changed then.
But I think it's the same with retailers. They start with a designer, and a few years later, the designer is like, oh, I'm not going to be exclusive with you anymore. I'm just going to go and sell, well, for example, Stéphanie, to Bon Marché, just next to your store. You've made everybody discover my work, but now I want more people to love me, and I'm going to go into Le Bon Marché just next to you. I mean, probably the same with Paul. Paul travels around the world.
Well, you don't have le bon marché.
In
He
Portland.
has others,
Not in
But
Portland.
Paul travels and Lorraine go to a lot of shows.
Yes.
They work very hard. And for example, there'll be a store very close to Paul who maybe travels much less and discovers designers through Twist. And they haven't invested all that time, all that effort. And I'm sure it's very infuriating.
Not to mention resources invested.
Yes.
And so, Stephanie, exclusives.
Of course, we try as much as possible to get exclusives from our designers. And more than that, we're trying to buy into designers that do one-of-a-kind pieces.
Yes, that's what my impression
because
is of
this
where
is
you're
really
going.
Cool. Like,
yeah,
well,
there's a
I'm
big emphasis.
mentioning, for example,
Yeah.
Brooke Gregson, who does a lot of one-of-a-kind. So this is a real pleasure to choose among a collection the pieces that will be the only one to have. Kathy Waterman also does, and other designers, a lot of them do. And this is where the business becomes really interesting, is that to discover every other month or either from a line sheet, from pictures, because most of them live far away, like Karen Lieberman in Australia. I'm not going to go to Australia every 6 months, but she sends me pictures. And this is really interesting because it's also a question of trust, because she'll send me pictures and give me all the details, and we buy from the pictures. And I think one-of-a-kind pieces are really what make our business interesting, isn't it, Paul?
Probably us less than you, but yes. I want to say one more thing about exclusivity. What I also tell designers when we start is this is a relationship that has to work for both of us, and both of us have the potential to change. So at any time, like if your business grows where your output is tripled and you already had made a commitment to me for exclusivity, but I'm no longer big enough to earn it in my market, well, then you need to tell me so we can react to it. Either we'll increase our orders or we'll be selling in both places, or we'll quit selling it. But keep the channels of communication open. Don't just wait for me to see it in another store, which has happened.
Of course.
I mean, yeah.
Awkward.
Not really.
Are you finding that more customers are wanting to shop directly from the designers that you carry via their Instagram?
Well,
Yes.
should I start?
Yeah, go for it.
To inverse the...
Yeah, go for it.
When we started, which is about 13 years ago, I remember the fashion weeks in Paris where only a few designers would come. I would meet people small in a hotel room with all the jewelry on a bed. And now this business has grown into something really very professional, where there are showrooms and bigger places where the designers can show, and it's a lot of designers showing. And what was the question again?
Are you finding that more of your customers are
Oh, yeah.
defecting over
so-
to the designer
Yeah.
websites or Instagram
I was talking about
stores?
professionalism, and so these designers didn't have websites. They didn't even have, when we started, they didn't have Instagram, because Instagram did not exist. And so now they have a much bigger visibility than they used to have through themselves, through their Instagram account, through their website. Which
Yeah, and they're
is
doing
better.
newsletters that are coming into
They're
my
doing all
inbox
this
all the time.
And well, we can't really blame them, because when they sell direct, they sell with full margin. Then when they sell with us, they sell with half margin. And this is a real tricky game, because we have been in situations with some of the brands that we carry where the customers were coming to us to find a piece that we didn't have. So we make all the research, we go to the designer, and then in the end, they prefer to buy it from the designer itself. So it's kind of complicated to be suddenly in competition with these designers that you promote in your store and you get the customers coming, and then in the end, you don't make the business. So it's kind of a new type of game, and this is how it has also evolved in the 10 last years. Do you agree?
Yes, the same. I mean, I've had the same situation.
And
you
this
know.
is, again, I'm coming back to the one-of-a-kind pieces, because you are the only one to have it. And this is what we're trying to promote a lot as well.
Valerie, did you want to say
I've
something
had
about
the
that?
same situation, you know, with showing jewelry to a client and then discovering a few months later that the client had gone directly to the designer, maybe got a small discount, maybe, you know, like, and I spent a lot of time giving all the information, answering emails, and I found that my time didn't seem precious. The effort I made wasn't precious, and it can be disheartening. But then, you know, it's the relationship you have with the designer. If they don't understand that, maybe they're not the right people to work with.
Time to part ways, in other words.
But you know, I know the topic today is the future of jewelry retail. And I feel like if you are a place for discovery,
Yeah.
maybe you have a future in the jewelry retail, but it's a difficult game to play.
Right. Now, I wanted to also ask about promotions and about sales, because Twist is very famous for its annual sale. And maybe Paul, because this might be really instructive to people in the audience, because I've never heard of anything like this.
No, we haven't either. Part of the challenge is that since we buy all the work we sell, we buy, and we're really committed to not returning jewelry to designers that we bought and didn't sell, because we know they don't want it back either.
And this is so rare. If people don't realize it, this is very rare in the jewelry retail.
Well, again, it comes from being on the other side. We know
Right.
how incredibly depressing that could be. So what we started literally over 30 years ago is once a year. We don't do discounts normally. It's not part of how we sell. But once a year, we have a sale where Lauren goes through our inventory, like piece by piece, and pulls out pieces that she realized she shouldn't have purchased, or she thought would sell and didn't sell, or designer collections that are no longer being made, or designers we're no longer working with. And for 9 days, starting real soon, March 1st, but it's the first Friday in March, to the next Sunday, all that jewelry, which the week before was full priced, is half priced. And it's a major event, and it's a gift for our customers, and they look forward to it all year. And then we've got those customers that their religion, their personal means for how they purchase is they'll only buy on sale. There's nothing else they'll ever buy. It doesn't even matter how much it costs. The fact that it says 50% off means they would buy it, and if it's full price, they won't. They come in once a year, and the whole thing actually really works.
Talk about the cookies.
I make 600 cookies for the first day that I hand out at the door until they're gone, because sometimes the line to check out could be 45 minutes to an hour long.
I mean, it's like a community event.
It is. People come from out of town for the event.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
know
party.
people who have flown in. They've come up from California to go to the sale.
Now, it's capital intensive to do this. You're spending your money.
Of course.
And then you're waiting a long time to get your money back, and you're going to discount salespeople's commissions, bank card commissions. I mean, we're not getting all our money back, but we're getting a lot of it back to buy new product with.
Yeah, and it works, but I think more than anything, it seems to be promoting goodwill and bonds with
Everybody.
clients.
Yeah,
right?
and the designers, they don't want to see it back,
Right.
And they don't want to see discounts as well. I mean,
and they don't want.
Yeah, the discount thing it's painful for designers to have their work discounted. All right. And what about you, Stephanie? sales? Yes, no? Describe your position.
Well, we do a sale either once a year or twice a year, but it is always reserved to our clients and those of our clients who are subscribers of our newsletter. We consider this as being an advantage. So it's not like publicized in the store.
I
Only
see.
people know that if they have received the information through our newsletter, they can come and benefit from the discount. But it's a very specific time in the year with the rest of the sales for fashion or whatever.
Okay. And Valerie, do you have anything you want to add about?
I don't go. I don't really go on sale. I still have some stock that's sitting. I just don't like the thought of it.
Yeah.
I just don't like the idea that a piece of jewelry suddenly, is worth half of its value. I don't have a lot of stock. I buy most of the stock, and then I have stock from the designers I work with because they need promotion. So we sort of have a deal. I have some consignment, but I do promotion for them. I create photography. I do a lot of.
Right.
It's interesting what you say about selling pieces that we've had for many years, and it's fantastic. When this happens, it's great because
found
we
its
do
right home.
Every year we sell pieces that we've had for maybe 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, and suddenly someone is buying it. And it's just fantastic. And actually, to be honest, speaking about sales again, I'm thinking that every year when we try, because we need to rotate the stock, this is also very important to be able to buy some new things. It's important for our clients, it's important for the designers as well. But we don't have that much to put on sale, to be honest, because we're selling all the time. And this is the whole difference with fashion, is that we're not selling things that will be out of fashion next year. We're selling things that will last forever and that will go from generations to generations.
And some designers sell faster than others. I mean, some of them are maybe more on trend. They are maybe less pricey, or they're maybe everyday. Certain pieces are more like, special and more artistic, and they may take 5, 6, 7 years to sell.
But one day they'll find
Exactly,
their home.
they'll
for
find
sure.
their home.
One thing that particularly interests me about successful jewelry retailers is how each one has a specific style of relating to their customer or getting to know their customers, or maybe even socializing with their customers, just so that, and understanding what their wardrobes are, etc. Paul, can you talk about how you have clients, you do dinners in the stores sometimes, maybe the designers come to the dinners? I think that's a really interesting piece of how jewelry retailers can ensure a better future.
Well, this kind of deals with trunk shows we were talking about earlier as well. Pre-internet, that was the way to see a complete collection by a designer, was to do a trunk show where they'd bring their entire collection to your store, and people that are interested could actually go and meet the designer and see everything they made, not just the pieces that we'd buy. But now you can go online and see everything that they made.
Right.
So if we're going to do a personal event, we've chose to do something more intimate. So we literally have a dining room in the middle of our store. It has product on it throughout the day, but when we do designer dinners at night, it can hold 14 people. We get James Beard chefs to do the dinner. It's a very special event, and we curate the people that come. So it's not just necessarily their best customers, but it could just be a very interesting group that can have this moment. And it's very special, and it really creates amazing relationships that I know eventually turn into sales.
So on the table at these 14 people dinners, is jewelry on the table? Or
No, it's
okay.
off. It's in the cases. No,
Oh, okay,
I mean, we have
okay.
special wine people that show up. I mean,
Oh, so it's really an experience
dinner,
of culinary and wine and
sharing.
fun conversation.
yeah, they're amazing.
And how often do you do this?
Before COVID, we were doing one a month.
Jeez.
I know they were crazy, and they could be unbelievably expensive by the time you're done with them. But they're very special. Now we're doing probably 4 this year. One of the things that I think is really important about our store that we haven't covered is that all our salespeople are on commission.
Yeah, that's a key
paid
point.
based on what they sell.
They're
which
committed.
Yeah, they're committed. I mean, they learn what it means, the value of a relationship with a customer, long-term relationships with customers, and they're our advocates instead of, I mean, I've been in retail situations where they're adversaries to management, but they really work to make every sale, and they know that if they talk someone into buying something that's not appropriate, they're probably not going to come back. So it's really part of the basis of our success.
Excellent. And Stephanie, special events. You just said that you had a special dinner at your home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to do. We actually like to do trunk show, and we still do. But I think, as Paul said, it's more and more important to be able to do something for a very small group of people. They really appreciate the fact that we do something special for them, especially when they are clients of this designer or this designer. So last year we did something like that, and I wanted to do something at my home actually, because I wanted to do this with one of our very first designer, who is Kathy Waterman, who Paul knows very well as well. She was the one that told me, "I'll go for you. I'll go for your project of Whitebird because we have no distribution in Europe at all. So let's do it." And so I wanted to thank her and do this special event in our home, where a chef came, and I invited about 20 of our best customers, also to thank them for being so loyal for all these years. And it was really very, very emotional and
Are you going to do it again?
nice. Sorry?
Are you going to do it again?
Probably.
Something different,
yes.
maybe?
Yeah. And I think people, either the designer or the customers, really appreciate the gesture of inviting them somewhere else than in the store, which is really our stores are very particular because people come and it's not like Place Vendôme where you hesitate a little bit before pushing the door. But doing it at your home is the step further, and I think they really appreciated it.
And Valérie, what do you have to add to this whole?
Last year, I hosted a very intimate event at a very good friend of mine. She has an amazing, amazing mansion in London, and she is a female art collector. She's very well known. She has this amazing house with loads of female artists that she collects from. So we hosted an event called Women Who Create, Women Who Curate, and Women Who Collect, because she's a curator of female artists. And I'm a curator, and I've worked with a lot of female designers. So I invited two of my designers, one who creates bespoke handbags in Italy, and the other one who is an Italian jeweler who creates a lot of one-of-a-kind jewelry. And we invited 30 women to attend. We had a talk with those designers and with her being female art curator. So we hosted an event and we had an intimate dinner and we met and we engaged with about 30 women. And then the following days resulted in a few sales, in inquiries, in all of us engaging and meeting and in a different environment, and that was wonderful. That was, I don't know if that's the future of, jewelry retail, but
we
those
can-
experiences
Yeah, I mean,
are bonding.
nobody can predict the future because, I mean, did we see something like COVID coming? No. Did we,
And I think there's a lot of discussion online versus brick and mortar.
yes.
I don't know if those discussions are actually, you don't get the same experience online that you'll get in a brick and mortar store. But you won't, maybe if you go into a brick and mortar store and you don't get great customer service, maybe you'll end up buying online, which
Well-
is what I do. It's if I get bad customer service, I'll go,
Absolutely. And
But
go ahead,
there is-
Stephanie.
Yeah, well, speaking about service, I think that the service online for fine jewelry is also very important because we have so much interaction with our online customers, which can also be brick and mortar customers because, a customer that has visited one of our store and is, for example, English or American, will go back to their countries and then they contact us, and before they finish end up buying the piece. There's a lot of exchange of new videos of the piece
Right.
and advice, this piece or this piece, and my wife is like this, and my husband is like that. And it's like if they were in the store. They're just not in the store, but we interact through WhatsApp, through emails.
And you do FaceTime and
We
Zooms.
do.
Yeah.
We do. Sometimes when we have, especially this is a new way also of interacting with our customers, when we have trunk shows and we know we have some customers that are not in town because they simply don't live there, we do FaceTimes showing them all the pieces that we have during these trunk shows because we know they are fan of Dorette or any other jewelry designers, and they really appreciated it, and we try the pieces on for them, and this is something that
Oh, so
really
you model the pieces so that they can see how it looks on someone. That's
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. This
Yeah.
is something that did not exist 10 years ago.
No.
So you're doing more and more of this.
Yeah,
And more since COVID, I'm sure,
yeah, maybe also.
What's that, Valerie?
More since COVID. I think we got
Yes.
used to Zoom.
Yes. Oh,
A bit
gosh.
too used
Yes.
maybe to Zoom. But
I would want to say something about what we found. We found that our website has become really important for our local customers because they will spend time pre-shopping and come into the store. And with men, they'll come in with their phone and they'll just point to their phone and said, "Could you show me this piece?"
That's great. So it's
Or-
very targeted, and they
Yeah.
maybe watched the videos that
Yes.
you have of the jewelry designers.
I mean, that we never expected. We always thought that the website was for people that couldn't come into the store. We never realized it was a tool for people that would come into the store.
Yeah, because they're doing their research and finding exactly what they want. And do they even call you and
Sometimes.
say, "Hey, I found this thing on your website. Can you put it aside for me?"
Or they'll send us a text with 8 URLs of pieces they're interested in. The salesperson will pull it, have it on a tray waiting for them. They'll
Wow.
come in, they're the 8.
That's very
They're out.
efficient. And
But what's tricky also with jewelry is that you wear it. You're not buying an object. So you need often to go to the store and try it because you'll buy earrings and you'll be like, oh, but they're not as big as I thought they were, or,
Right,
or
right.
they're heavy, or so
Right,
jewelry is always tricky online.
Right.